All right, so I am at Rockaway in Pacifica. I'm meeting my friend Pete here, and we're gonna do some 30-minute studies today on 11 by 14 inch panels. And they're not really studies. I mean, they're just exercises in painting quickly, focusing on big shapes. All right, so Pete's already getting started. You can already see sort of your compositional idea.
Yeah.
And then you're working with those distant cliffs.
Right.
And then you're going to include some clouds, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, as I was saying, there's like just especially coming from the East Coast in the winter, it's just a plethora of choices. And deciding between the ocean and the sky, it's a pretty brutal choice, but ultimately I think the sky is going to win out because it's just so expansive and I don't get opportunities to paint that expansive.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of opportunities, like we were talking about with the ultramarine up top going down to the cerulean, and then nice light and shadow on those distant cliffs. Great atmospheric perspective. Well, I mean, way up there you can, I guess that's Marin way up there. Yeah, that's Marin County way up there. So yeah, you can get some layers going. Yeah, nice. All right, so this is looking towards the south, and I've painted this scene before here. And I like this scene, never from this angle and never with this lighting. And then there is this scene, obviously way off in the distance. I think I'm gonna go with this right here, and then who knows, maybe I'll do another. As I mentioned, I think what's great about a 30-minute painting is it forces you to focus on big shapes, not get bogged down in detail. And I think that 11 by 14 is the ideal size for it. If you go smaller, you're still gonna kind of be careful, I think. With an 11 by 14, if you're gonna paint it in a half hour, you've got to like let go and really kind of go for it and scrub in. And you know, you kind of want it to be a little overwhelming. You don't want to be comfortable. All right, inexpensive 11 by 14 here by Artist's Loft. Somebody gave me these panels and they're actually really pretty decent. Usual palette colors. I'm going to be using Liquin and just an assortment of brushes here. Set 30 minutes on my phone. There we go. It is counting. I want a high horizon here. I'm gonna go with that. High horizon. And then there's a rock that I like that kind of juts up. So I want it over here. Yeah, and then there's like, actually, you know what? I don't want that. I want to move that. I want to move it over a little bit. Let's move it over here. And then there's a little bit of land like this. Comes out like that. Some rocks over here. I'm gonna change up this shoreline here. You can see it's not particularly interesting, so I'm gonna change that. Again, I'm focusing quickly on big shapes. There's gonna be a whitewater pattern in here as well. I'm not sure what I want to do with that, but let's see. And then a short, maybe the you know, little bit of beach. And there's some shadows in here. So okay, I like that, but I do feel actually, you know, I want to move this over a little bit. I do want to move this over. All right, so then I want to have it kind of come up high like this, because I want to see some water in here. So I like the arrangement of shapes, and so next step is to mix darks for, you know, just sort of establish the darks. For the darks, I'm going with a reddish mixture using ultramarine blue and some alizarin crimson and also burnt sienna. I'm squinting at this scene and trying to come up with an interesting abstract pattern of darks. There's not a lot of light and shadow in this particular scene at the moment. It's like kind of in full light. But there are portions of the rocks that are dark. So I'm going to use those to anchor the composition. And like full disclosure, painting like this quickly and talking and holding the camera is not easy. Let's see here. Not making excuses though. No excuses. Like the key thing with doing this kind of work is what you're attempting to do is like take the pressure off of doing a good painting. It's not about that. It's about, you know, focusing on the shapes and try not to be too precious about what you're doing. But this kind of comes down at an angle. Actually, it's a little bit wider than that. Okay. All right, 24 minutes left. All right, so next I want to mix up the sky and the water colors here, and I'm paying attention to the value of the white water because the white water will be the lightest value in the painting. So for the water, I'm going with ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, titanium white, yellow ochre, and a little bit of dioxazine purple, mixing in liquid. All right, so let's see how the value is. I think that's a good value relationship right there. And it'll be a good starting point. I can always come over this with, like, you know, warmer tones or different variations after the scrub in. This area's got more yellow in it, so mixing a little bit of yellow ochre in there, especially like right around this shoreline. And most of the white water is in this area here. There's a little bit of blue in there, and then this area a lot more green. Adding some cadmium yellow medium. Okay, and we've got 19 minutes left. All right, I'm going to exaggerate the warmth here. I'm going with a mixture of cadmium yellow medium, cadmium red light, a little bit of burnt sienna, and I think there's a little titanium white in there as well. I don't want to add too much titanium white because that'll cool it down. So I like to lighten up using yellow if possible. There's certain areas where, you know, the orange is very muted and closer to, like, where it's got like a lot of blue in it, kind of grayed down. But I'm not going to worry about that at this point. There is some green up at the top, so I'll leave an area for that. But right now I just want to cover and just, like, I'm sort of getting a generalized color here. Just trying to, you know, get a feeling of light in the painting early on. So, you know, leaving some transparent strokes as well. I'm kind of looking over my shoulder. And the view is all the way over here. And for this portion here, I am going to mix in some blue. I like to gray colors using complements, so I've got some ultramarine blue here. I'm going to mix that into the orange. That's a little bit green, so again, I'm going to gray down using a complement. I'm going to add a little red. I'm going to go with a touch of alizarin. That's too much. Now mixing in a little bit of this purplish mixture. Just trying to gray it down. All right, that's better. Okay. All right, so mixing right into my water mixture here, greening it up to for some of the green on the top of the cliffs. Okay, that's a little bit cool, but I'm kind of mixing some of this orange into it, which will warm it up a little bit. So a few other hints of green, like right there. So the sand here is kind of a dark color. I'm gonna lighten it up and warm it up a little bit. All right, and that's pretty gray, but that's all right. It's definitely lighter in value and also a little bit warmer than the actual, you know, the real sand. This area here is going to be darker right where the water meets the land. All right, so I just put some dioxazine purple on the brush, and I'm kind of going to work right into the existing paint. Okay, 12 minutes left. All right, so I want to suggest a few waves out here. So I'm going to mix up a darker color. The waves are kind of coming in a radial fashion here. So I'm going to kind of indicate some waves coming in. Like that. Now I'm focusing on my whitewater shapes here to see if I like what I'm seeing. I do, but I'm seeing some purplish tones in here. I want to break this up a little bit. All right, so I've mixed in some dioxazine purple tones out here too. Okay, again, squinting at the whitewater. I'd like to see some more whitewater down here possibly, like right here. So kind of wipe this away. All right, so next I'm gonna lay in the white water, and I'm gonna start with some titanium white with a touch of ultramarine blue. And then if I want to, I can come over this with titanium white with some cadmium yellow lemon, so that I have the warm and cool whites playing against each other. But for now, I'm just gonna lay in the cooler white, and I'm just looking for, like I said, looking for patterns. And I don't want to be too careful here. I'm gonna leave this area open because I'm seeing some blue-greens in there. So I'm gonna leave that open. All right, and I need to load my brush more because if I want to paint quickly, I gotta have a lot of paint on the brush. All right, so this breaking wave right here, I want to suggest that, and then there's white water in here. I don't like how the water line is a straight line, so I'm going to kind of drag out the white water a little bit to kind of break that up. Okay, I've mixed in like a little cobalt teal and ultramarine into titanium white to put some lighter passages out here. I want more yellow in that, so I just dipped into some yellow and I'm going to mix it directly on the panel. There's also some yellow in the waves as well because they're sort of backlit a little bit. All right, so there we go. Let's see how long it took. Actually, that was like 27 minutes. I'm gonna just leave it there, just so you guys can see, you know, what the idea is here. Is just to work quickly and just also to suspend judgment. Pete did set his timer, so let's take a look and see what he came up with in 30 minutes. Yeah, very nice.
30 minutes? I thought you said 10.
Oh, you did that in 10 minutes. Yeah, very nice. You can get a lot done in 30 minutes if you really push yourself, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think also the thing you start to realize is that the story can be told really, really quickly.
Right. It's all
right.
It's all about the big shapes. Tells the
Absolutely.
You know, that conveys, you know, most of it. You do have like a nice feeling of light because you got strong, you know, light and shadow going already. Just keep going without overworking, right?
Right, exactly.
At this point, what I do is I always make decisions about what I need to do from about 10 feet back.
Yeah.
Like, because if you're making your decisions when you're up close, it's like you're going to think it needs more. And you're going to keep on going. Yeah, so once I do my block in, I walk back about 10 feet, and then I make my decisions from there. I'm like, okay, what does this need to actually communicate what I'm most interested in?
Yeah, exactly.
Once you've done your 30-minute, you know, rough in, if you like what you see, I mean, you can keep going. So what I'm going to do is I do like the arrangements here. So I'm just going to spend another 15 minutes. That's it. So I'm going to set the timer for 15 minutes. And then I'm just gonna, you know, just tune it up a little bit. But the goal is to leave it as a very simple, quick statement. So, you know, so I'll probably, you know, I'll define some of these rock shapes here, and then maybe some of the shifts, you know, in color and value on the cliffs, but not too much. All right, so here is what I finished up with. When I got home, I did about 15 minutes of cleanup. Oftentimes when I get home, you know, something will jump out at me. In this case, I sort of darkened this area so that the rocks were more unified. And then also this sand color had too much red in it, so I put more of a yellow ochre sort of color down there. But other than that, I didn't do much to it. So it was like 30 minutes scrub in. Actually, it was like a 22-minute scrub in. 15 minutes of adjusting color, and then an additional 15 minutes when I got home. All right, and let's look up close. I really love the energy that's created by leaving, you know, this sort of scrubby brush strokes. And, you know, those are effects that I wouldn't get if I was being more careful and if I was, you know, working slowly. A little bit of cleanup on the rocks. and then darkened them so they weren't just little speckles or little spots, they were more unified. The initial scrub in was very orange, and then it came over with more muted tones, but I really was careful to leave, you know, some of that bright orange showing through. As I've mentioned before, I think it really contributes to a feeling of luminosity. All right, so Pete continued working on his painting. If you want to see the final product, you can check out his Instagram. I will put a link in the description below. But if you haven't tried doing these 30-minute studies, I really recommend it. Like I said, get yourself some inexpensive 11 by 14 panels, a number 8 natural bristle flat, and then just set your timer for 30 minutes and you know, at least try to cover the panel. And then you can, if you like what you see at that point, what I usually do is like, all right, I'm going to give myself 15 more minutes to, you know, kind of refine things, and then that's it, you know. And then if I like it from that point, then when I get home, I'll give myself 15 more minutes to tidy it up or whatever. But the point is, you're not laboring over the painting. You don't have time to fuss around with detail. The best thing to do is just squint at the scene and just approximate colors and go for it. And like I said, you know, take all the expectations off of, you know, don't expect to do a good painting. That's not what this is about. You'd be surprised though, because oftentimes you will do good paintings, often better than you would than if you had labored over it and been too careful. So, you know, you'll see, you'll find that there's a lot of little magical moments that happen when you're just kind of going for it and not overanalyzing. So anyway, give it a go and see what you think. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you'd like to see some extra videos and help support the channel, there's a Patreon link down below. So other than that, stay creative, and I'll see you guys in the next video.